A lot of people credit Nintendo for setting the standard for what a good controller could be. The D-pad was so good that no other company could compete, mainly due to a patent, but any iteration of a directional input paled in comparison to the mighty D-pad. Nintendo themselves couldn't even do it with the NES Max, but that's a video for another time. And while it would appear that Nintendo had perfected the control pad starting with the Game & Watch and the NES, it didn't stop companies from considering new concepts. In the US, we got the U-Force, which was a controller that didn't have any buttons, the Turbo Touch 360, which had a touchpad instead of buttons, and who could forget the Power Glove. But Japan had their own quirky controllers, and thanks to today's sponsor, JP Fans, I was able to purchase some direct from Japan and have them sent to my house here in Chicago. JP Fans is a proxy service that's pretty easy to use. Create an account using my affiliate link in the description where you can get special discounts and coupons, saving you more money. Then all you need to do is search or browse for any items that you're interested in, preferably in native Japanese. And once you find what you're looking for, you just click add to cart and check out. JP Fans will purchase the item on your behalf and store it in their warehouse. You can even opt in for pre-inspection so that you know what you're buying matches the description. Once the items meet your criteria, you can have them all shipped in one convenient package to save on shipping. And they come really well packed as well. I know that they're sponsoring this video, but I did pay for some stuff out of pocket and I'm happy with the service. And not only did it come well packaged, but shipping was pretty quick too. So thanks again to JP Fans for sponsoring this video, and make sure to use my link if you're going to sign up. I ordered some other stuff that I'll showcase in another video, but let's focus on some quirky controllers. Now, these are Famicom controllers, and I know what you're saying. Nick, the Famicom had its controllers hardwired into the system. And yeah, you'd be correct, but the Famicom had an expansion port, which is where all of these controllers plug into. It also means that the controllers won't work out of the box on any NES North American versions, but there are adapters available, or if you want to use them on PC or MiSTer, I recommend the Reflex adapter from MiSTer Add-ons that uses the snack adapter, and I'll probably make a video on that in the future. I do have a twin Famicom that I also got from JP Fans, but it doesn't work, so while I figure out how to fix it, we'll use the analog NT Mini Noir, which does have the port on it, and it also means that these controllers will work with North American NES games, so that's pretty cool. In this video, I figured I'd give you an overview on how the controller works and how well it plays with my favorite NES game to test controllers, Mega Man 2, and any other game that requires a specific controller. In the United States, we got the Zapper, a futuristic looking pistol to match the 1980s gray NES aesthetic, but in Japan, it looked like this. Yeah, a 6-shooter. You can even pull the hammer back before firing for an even more realistic feel. The grip has this wood grain texture to it, and it does have some heft to it even though it's made out of plastic. Nintendo also sold a deluxe set, and it includes the gun, of course, but now you get a genuine leather holster with Nintendo embossed on it to go with it. The gun does require a CRT to be used, and these are getting pricey even if you buy them direct from Japan. I bought these several years ago for under $100, but just the gun alone goes for $50 or more. Is it worth it? Well, it does function exactly like any other light gun for the NES, so keep that in mind, but if you want that full Back to the Future experience, this is definitely the gun to have in your collection. Next up is the Joy Ball by Hale, and this controller caught my eye for obvious reasons. It's got a giant ball on it, but it's not a trackball, it's just a giant D-pad, and this makes it so that you don't have to travel too much, which makes movement a good thing over long-term play, but it might impact your ability to really make some movements when you're changing directions from time to time. You got your standard A, B, select and start, but they're off axis, which took a little bit to get used to because the text suggests that it should be a different orientation, but because the D-pad is the source of truth, it's held at an angle, and it takes a little bit to get used to, but after a while you get the hang of it. I wish that it was a bit more responsive, and the turbo function also sucks because it applies to both buttons, which means that if you want to use it for platformers in games like Mega Man, for example, you can't use it with the turbo engaged. So you either need to switch it on and off when you need it or keep it off for the entire time. But for shoot 'em ups, it's pretty nice because the giant ball gives more subtle movements necessary for dodging bullets, and the turbo function works well in these games since they only register single inputs. Alright, let's move on to the ASI Stick one-handed controller, and this is a pretty unique controller. It's meant to be used with one hand, specifically your left. So why would anybody want to use a one-handed controller? Well, RPGs or any other game where one input is necessary at any given moment, where you're scrolling down menus and selecting inputs. Ironically, every RPG that I have tried didn't recognize the controller, and I looked it up, and apparently because the Famicom had wire controllers at the start, early games didn't look for the expansion controller. Gambling games like Vegas Dream run just fine though, and if I plug it into the reflex adapter and use it as primary controller on an emulator, it can be recognized as well. And while it can be used in a game like Mega Man, you would need a decent amount of practice, especially when it comes to jumping and shooting at the same time while keeping your thumb on the D-pad. I can move and shoot, move and jump, but I struggle to coordinate jumping and shooting. It is a comfy controller nonetheless if you are using it for its intended purpose. Alright, let's move on to the Wing Commander controller from Hori, and this is similar to the Joy Ball. It's got a big giant ball on it, and it has a weird layout, but it's meant to be used either left-handed or right-handed, and I find it most comfortable to rest my left wrist on the side of the joystick and then point down on the buttons with my right hands, and two players can share the controller similar to the NES Advantage. Like the Joy Ball, there's also a turbo function, although it's either on or off and it applies to both buttons at the same time, so you're probably going to be using this for shooters or any type of arcade game. But unlike the Joy Ball, you can swap out the oar for a traditional joystick handle to suit your preference, and there's also a T-shaped top for games where up and down are more important, like for some racing games. The buttons are kind of mush, and because the joystick is in the middle, I end up hitting the other A and B button with my palm. And it is nice that you can use it on a variety of games, but like the Joy Ball, it feels like only the games that really take advantage of it are the arcade ports. And like the ASCII stick, if certain games aren't designed to take advantage of the expansion controller port, like Rad Racer 1 and 2 for example, it just wouldn't want to work with this controller, at least out of the box. You can use it on emulation. Alright, next up is the Hori Track Ball controller, and now this controller caught my eye because it has a trackball, which got me wondering what NES games use a trackball, and it turns out not a lot, just four games, and they're all Japanese only: Pro Soccer, US Volleyball, Putt Putt for the Famicom Disk System, and Operation Wolf. Yeah, slim pickings, but it was such an oddball controller and it was so inexpensive that I had to add it to my collection. Using it is pretty straightforward, at least with Operation Wolf, because that's probably the best example that you can use with this game, because you move the trackball to aim in lieu of the light gun, which adds a bit more precision. You can move a little bit faster. The other games, it's not really obvious how you should be using this controller, and I did have to dig into the menu for volleyball, and it just doesn't seem as responsive as it was with Operation Wolf. The good thing is that you can use this as a regular controller, as it does have a D-pad, but since the primary function of the controller is to have this trackball, you're going to have to adjust your hands and use it as intended on a desk, or you could just hold it like a normal controller. Now this is my favorite controller of the bunch, the Joy-Card Sensui gamepad, and it's kind of easy to see why. It's the classic Famicom NES candy bar layout. You got your D-pad, start, select, B, and A, but this one has turbo sliders. That's right, 2 sliders, one for each button, and you can choose the frequency. So I can make this be turbo while A remains constant. And the turbo isn't that groundbreaking when it comes to controller features, but the reason why I bought this one is because it has a headphone jack. Yeah, you can plug your headphones in this controller and listen to the gameplay independent of the speakers on your TV, and it's even got a little volume slider. And then you have this function, it's called sound shift. And at first I wasn't sure what this did until I pressed right on the D-pad and the sound in my ear shifted to the right, and when I pressed left it shifted to the left ear. It's a neat concept until you have to press back and forth a lot. Now this is probably one of the best NES controllers out there. Rounded corners so you can play longer. It's a bit chonky for adult hands, so if you get your hands on an adapter for the NES or you have a Famicom, I totally recommend this controller. Last but not least, the 3D glasses. Now these aren't technically a controller, but it is quirky and it does plug in the controller port, so I'm putting it in this video. I've been wanting to showcase these forever, and it shows that Nintendo has been on the 3D hype train since the very beginning. This is the 3D system. Shutter glasses that plug into the Famicom and sync with the image on the screen to give a 3D effect. And if that sounds familiar, it's because it's the same tech that 3D TVs used in the early 2010s. Glasses have shutters that produce a strobe effect that turns a 2D image on your television into a 3D image. And there weren't many games released to be compatible with the glasses, and the ones that were are playable without it by default, so you wouldn't have missed it anyway. But I really like bringing these out to show people that 3D tech hasn't really improved so much over the past 40 years. So there you have it, 7 quirky controllers that are, at least to my knowledge, only available in Japan. I'm sure someone will tell me that one of those Wing Commander controllers made it here to the United States, but maybe you're thinking of that Rock and Roller controller. So let me know what your favorite controller is down below. I have a lot of other controllers that are quirky that I want to go through, like the Laser Scope from Konami, that's a headset light gun, and also the Activator from Sega. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hype it, or whatever YouTube is doing these days. And remember to check out my channel sponsor JP Fans and use my link in the description if you plan on buying something. I do get a commission if you use it, which means that I can put it towards more quirky things and make more videos. And if you want to see the other Famicom stuff I got from Japan, or you're just interested in retro video game price trends, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Nick, and I'll see you next time.